Hello and welcome to the God is a Geek podcast, episode 485. I am Adam Cook, and if you're watching on video, I'm tremendously out of focus, which is an amazing start to a podcast which is in video form as well. And I'm going to try and sort that while speaking to you. But I am not alone. That's the important part, because joining me this week is Chris Hyde.
Hello, mate. Are you all right?
Yeah,
Good.
I'm all right, apart from the
Apart
being out
from
of
the
focus
focus
bit.
thing.
Yeah, apart from that, which, hey, look, if you're watching, magically fixed.
There you go.
Did he do it in post?
It was all an illusion.
Is he just a podcasting genius? Lyle, can you answer that question?
No, I can't. Probably just did it now, I think. I think that's probably the answer, if I had to guess.
It's the correct answer. Yeah. How is everyone? Everyone good?
Very good.
Yeah.
I'm in a good mood.
Nice
So
and
don't
sunny
ruin it,
here?
lads.
I don't know, sunny there for you guys?
No,
not
it's
too
just
bad,
grey
here.
here. It's really, really grey. But still went out for a walk. Went out and got a very large box of crisps from Malta. There's this app called Too Good To Go, which gives where you get sort of like food that's either going to go out of date or would be fresh at like a Starbucks or something, and a weird, a sort of like a shop where I assume the owner is from Malta was on there, and had loads of stuff to give away. So just like I had too many crisps to carry, and crisps are a light food, really. So today I just walked home and could barely carry the amount of crisps that I now have in my house.
I mean, this sort of doesn't work in audio form, but for those just listening, like clasping them?
They came in a box, but the box was like sort of like the size of a PC tower.
That's a strange size box.
Yeah, and it just was full of very dense crisps, but they're really nice. I've had a few packs.
Are they from Malta?
Yeah,
they're
from
just
Malta.
From a shop
so like
called Malta.
they're from Malta. There's some really weird ones. There's some like there's one flavor that's like they're like crackers, and the flavoring is sort of I had to Google it, and it's a sheep's cheese from Malta that's famous in Malta. So I've been all about
weird, like excuse me.
I mean,
Malteser flavored.
Oh, you'd like to hope so, wouldn't you? But unfortunately not. I mean, I can say from my experience today, I know very little about the country of Malta, but they know how to make a banging packet of crisps, and I know that now.
Ultimately, that's all that really matters.
I mean, that should be what determines how good a country is, right?
Yeah. So they're like, top tier.
Yeah.
Probably top 10 countries in the world now, if I had to rank them.
Let's hope so. Let's talk about games, though. Chris Hyde, what have you been up to?
Well, people have been following. I imagine people are always following this podcast. But if you've been listening the past few weeks and months, you'll know that Adam, yourself, and I have been on a bit of a co-op kick.
Yeah.
We kind of jumped on. I suppose we had a bit of Rainbow Six back at the that was still this year, which is crazy.
That was
Nobody saves the world, but like. More recently, it's been Elden Ring and Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, which has been occupying our time, and we kind of platinum / almost might give up platinum those games.
Yeah.
We won't talk about that this week, but we basically got to the point where like we need another game. Like, what's next? What's the next kind of co-op game? So we're trawling through, and we have landed on No Man's Sky. From Hello Games, which feels like it's been around for about 20 years since that game was released. Very, very different from the game that originally launched. Lots and lots added to it over time. And this is a really weird one for me, to talk about this game, because given that we originally intended to start playing it as kind of like, it'll be like, it's a co-op game, we loved Astroneer. It's kind of like that, but like dialed up to 11. It's going to be great. It should tick all the right boxes. But I say this with all the love I can muster to you as a friend. I prefer not playing it with you and playing it on my own. And that's the game's fault, not yours, to be really clear. This game is a game that has hooked me this week, and I have been playing it. It is one of those ones I'm like, I'll play another couple of hours here and there. But it's a game that is very hard play co-op with.
Yeah.
And I think the main reason for it is that you start off and the tutorial is very long. Like we said, to each other, we'll do the tutorial separately and then we'll party up. But it does that thing in a game, which isn't a bad thing, where it doesn't tell you tutorial over. Now go play. Not really. It kind of just carries on and on and on with the main story mission. So we're never quite clear at what point is the best point in the main story to go, well, now would be a good time. You can go and co-op with people. There is kind of a point where it says you're now free to do what you like. And I'll come on to that in a minute. But for the main part, I think I joined you too early. I hadn't done enough of the tutorial. And that basically made progression not only a bit harder, but much more confusing. Because basically what happens is you start off on a planet, right? In a star system. And a lot of it's all randomly generated. Like a lot of it is like, all the planets are unique, all the wildlife and stuff. That's the whole point, isn't it? It's all like all different, all got its own names and everything. And the idea being is that you discover it and harvest materials and all that sort of stuff. So you started in a completely different section of space to me.
System, yeah.
Completely different like galaxy. So what happened was I started my story in my own little planet, which is hotter than the sun and just spontaneously starts cracking up on fire and all that kind of stuff. And Adam's on this planet over there. So I start my single player and it's all fine, following it along, trying to learn we learn the mechanics and stuff and kind of progress. And then I thought, okay, we've been playing it for like an hour or so. Let's just party up and try and progress, help each other out. But because I'm still doing the main story, it thinks I need to complete some of the main story in your galaxy now because I've joined you. And if I stop and then go back to my own galaxy, I've then got to find a way to get back to your galaxy to carry on the main story. And it just sort of convolutes itself because getting to different star systems, you need like materials and stuff to do that, which in the early part of the game are quite hard to get hold of. They're quite rare. Gets easier as you progress more into the game, of course, but it can be a bit. First off, we didn't understand that was a thing. And we were like, I don't get why it's not letting you progress the story. But then secondly, when you figure it out, you're like, okay, that's quite a nuisance. And it's a shame because there's a lot here to like. I'm certainly, like I say, I'm enjoying it. I just wish I could be enjoying it with two people, like helping each other out at a base. Because there is stuff in here where I can help your base out. And you can help my base out. I came to your base and said, "Oh, look at these things that I've got. I'll build them for you." And I was helping build your base up, and that's quite cool. But actually progressing missions, actually, doing actual like quests and side stuff, this game is designed for you to do that solo, and that I think that's a real missed opportunity for this game because. It could so easily, I think, be a game that is embraces multiplayer more than it does. It tends. What I have noticed, I don't know if you've seen this, Adam. It seems like there are special missions that are actually designed to be done with more than one person. They're like specific quests, but like it's like go to this specific area and speak to this entity, and it will give you a special mission that multiple people are trying to achieve. But outside of that, everything else is do it on your own.
Yeah,
and it just feels like such a shame because I'm actually really enjoying it when I play it. It's not quite as cathartic as Astroneer and Satisfactory, but it's got something, and I like it. And as I get more into it, I'm enjoying it. But it's an isolation time sink, and I don't know if I've got time for many of those this year when I've got lots of other single-player games to be playing.
I think the problem... You mentioned this, I think, when we were playing it at one point where, you can kind of tell it's a game that's been like, here's the base, and they metaphorical, not actual physical base station. Like, here's the base game, and they
built on top of it.
And I think that is very, very obvious because it's so... I think... Like, I don't like this anywhere near as much as... Astroneer, mostly because I think while both have very similar kind of cores in that they're about exploration, progression, acceleration, I guess, and base building. I think the biggest issue for me is that like Astroneer, while it never says to you, do this as such, and while the actual sort of mystery of the game, if you will, to kind of complete that game is you either need Google or a heavy bit of you need to find out and investigate a lot.
Yeah,
but it's doable. For me, No Man's Sky is too much. It's just too much. Like in Astroneer, you kind of end up with one of two or maybe three missions, but these are mission structures that you've created. They're not missions within the game. They are things you can do, but they are kind of tasks you set yourself as a group or individual. In No Man's Sky, there are like 15 possible things you could be doing or moving towards, none of which are either essential or non-essential. It's really not clear if it matters, if anything matters, and I think because of that, I think you end up in the situation where you end up, which is you sit there and you go, what should we do? And we're both like, don't really know.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I did say that to you. I do wonder if when you take a step back, like we're playing this game for the first time, how much of it is as tightly designed as intended for newcomers, rather than people going, "Oh, I like No Man's Sky. I wonder how it's changed." Because I think it might work well in that sense. But if you're going in blind, I think it's very confusing. I think the progression is vague, and you're right what you say about Astroneer, in the sense that you didn't always know exactly what you were doing, but you knew you might have a plan. You might say, for example, I want to unlock that that building or item sounds cool. I want to unlock that to get to. I know, and to do that, I need this material, so that I'm going to go and get that material, which I know is over here. And so therefore you go and do that. You come back and then you find you've got a nice shiny shredder, which you can chuck shit in, and that's the next thing. And then you realize you've unlocked an ingredient for this thing over here, and it's slowly you build your own thing. And you're naturally building your progression. When I've been having fun in No Man's Sky, that's what I've been doing. I've been saying, I've unlocked the ability to build this thing. I haven't got all the materials, and I'm going to try and figure stuff out to get the materials for that thing. But in Astroneer, it's like you can clearly see why you need that. There's been a few things I've built in No Man's Sky, and I've gone, right, now what? And it's like, no, that's it. And I'm like, okay, right, good. Thanks game, like that. So
will I ever use this again? Does any of this matter?
And maybe I don't know everything I need to know about what that thing is, but then just tell me. Like, stop. Like, there's a part of this where it's like, it's your game, explore your way. Yeah, but like, help me out a little bit. And there is a story, and I will say the main story does introduce various things. Like, it will say, go, distress signal, go to this area. Oh, well, you've just found the blueprints for this building. That would be worth building, wouldn't it? And you're like, yes, that would be game if I had not built it 6 hours ago. But thank you for, because you're at least helping me if I hadn't built that. And if I just followed the main story, I'd be unlocking these things. So it does have that there. But what it does is it literally says to you directly after the first few hours, it just goes, but you don't have to worry about the main story if you don't want to. Like, it almost, it knows it has that structure in that story, but it literally tells you not to bother with it and go and do whatever you want. Even if going and doing whatever you want is going to be 10 times more confusing because you haven't done the main story. And I just think, for some people, that level of freedom and exploration is going to be amazing, because you're like, wow, I can literally do anything. And you can. And there is part of it that's grabbed me, but it's interesting when you've described the Astroneer thing, because I'm like, yeah, why I'm having fun with it, because I'm literally giving myself little Astroneer type goals. That's why I'm liking it. I'm like, I've built a little mining thing, a little mining setup. That's great. Like, that's, and
it's master of none. Do you know what I mean? It kind of wants to do everything. It wants to allow you to build a base, get a freighter, customize your planet's geometry. It wants you to be able to create a storage and put stuff in it. It wants you to be able to do all of this, make races that you can run around in your exocrafts on. Their cars, if you want to know what an exocraft is. It wants you to be able to do all of that, and in doing so, I I respect and admire it, but I kind of don't want to do any of it.
Yeah.
And like when we finished playing last, I sort of was like, I think I'm done. Not because it's like because I don't. It's not the game I want it to be. I want it to be like Astroneer. I want it to be cooperative and building a base together. It's just not that game. It's not that game, and I think that part of that might be because it tries to have a story, but I don't find the story interesting, and I don't. And there's this. It's a Skyrim thing as well. It's that Bethesda thing where they used to go, "Oh, look at that mountain! It's that big," and it is that. It is actually that game. But I think a lot of the things that make it that game piss me off. Like it annoys me that like if you can see a place, the quickest you can ever get to it would be like 20 seconds. And now that sounds silly, but like when you have to go out of the atmosphere. So like if I can see it, if I can pin something on the planet on my radar, and I want to go to it, and it will tell me you're going to get there in 10 hours or 10 minutes or whatever. Now that's 10 minutes of real time. That's not game 10 minutes. That is 10 minutes of you going in a straight line. So to get round that, you go out of your planet's atmosphere, so you're obviously farther away and can travel quicker with your ship, and you reduce it to 20 seconds. So it's like it sounds silly, but on a very kind of almost brass tacks level, what you're talking about is instead of going in a straight line, which should be the quickest, it's actually quicker to go up, across, and then back down. And that is, I understand the physical nature of what is going on here, that outside of a planet's orbit I can go quicker with my spaceship, but I'm playing a video game. And if you're telling me that I have to leave the planet to then come back to the planet but at a different point outside of its atmosphere because that's quicker, and that's been there, by the way, since day one. This is a thing that has been there since when it pre-release, when we played it first. Yeah, I find that annoying, and it's not the only thing like it. There are other elements like that, where it's like it's frustrating, and it looks pretty, but but at what point, 50 hours in, are you like, I don't want to see this animation anymore?
Yeah, and I just think like don't get me wrong, I'm talking like I won't go back and play it, and I will because I've literally just found
See, I don't think I will.
Yeah,
like I don't think it's. I don't know if it's supposed to be funny or clever that you literally the first word you learn is the Korvax word for Korvax. Yeah, do you know what I mean? And then you learn the word of, and it's like, oh, I get this, but that's not the only language in the game. So you're telling me I've got to go and learn literally the word or of, or as you found didn't you? EHH. Which isn't a word as far as I'm aware. You have to go find that word in all the different languages from all the different locations.
I found a translation of a word that I don't think's a word, but yeah.
But for me, that's because that is there for the people who play this and only this.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those, and I think, it's your point around like the whole flight thing is relevant because bizarrely for a space game, it's going for like realism, right? And that physics stuff you talk about is correct, but it's the same thing like exploring a planet is going to take you quite a long time. Well, yes, it very much is going to take me a long time. I don't want that aspect of like I don't want to.
But then it does itself dirty because then you can go off planet and load back into it, and all the stuff you discovered is there for you to discover again.
Yeah,
like the trees grow back. Like it's not like if you destroy a tree, it's gone for good. If you find a piece of hidden technology, it will eventually respawn. And it's like, I get. And again, from a game perspective, that's good because you're like, well, I don't want to run out of trees.
But it seems to. But the point I'm trying to make is it seems to take it feels to like it makes
takes liberties when it feels like it.
Yeah, like I don't want a stamina bar in a game where I have to run around a planet, and I don't want.
When I'm wearing a space fucking suit.
If I don't want to run around a planet and be out of, and I'll be honest, you're out of breath all the fucking time.
Yeah, but I would argue it goes worse than that because it's like, okay, the game says to you, but it doesn't say to you, but it kind of it suggests to you, right, fine, you don't want a stamina bar, fine, make the car, and you're like, okay, I'll make your fucking car then, fine. If you're going to be like that, you get in the car, it's slow as piss. It's like, well, you want the car to be faster, then build a booster, and you're like, what next then? Because I built the fucking booster, and then what are you going to tell me I have to do?
And then it's that thing of always one more. You can't scan in your car. It's like, okay, so
you build your booster and you're like, oh, so I can't scan anything. So, well, yeah, if you want to scan, you have to build a scanner. Fuck. Okay, well, surely you don't expect to be able to mine. Build a mining thing for your car. It's like, okay, right, fine, I'll do all of that. And then something else will come up. And like, whereas with Astroneer, I felt like smaller team. Well, I wouldn't say smaller team, actually. Maybe now, maybe Hello Games is a much bigger team, but at the time that they were conceived and released. But like Astroneer is a smaller team, a smaller game, and I think, as mad as it sounds, being such a big universe scale game, it will hit some people and it will be like this is their game forever. Whereas for me, I was just left going, I think I'd probably rather just reinstall Astroneer, start a fresh save on a different planet.
Well, you asked me the question, didn't you?
Yeah. But like they've
You said,
added
would you
stuff
rather
to
carry
Astroneer
on
I've
with
never
this?
seen.
Would you rather carry on with this or start another Astroneer? And I'm like, well, Astroneer's got better storage. So
It has, though.
No, it absolutely has. And so I'm like, I'd rather do that. And that, but I literally, every now and then, probably far too much, I pester the guys in Discord going, do you want to go? Do you want to go and play Astroneer for an evening? And they're like, I'd rather go and play Apex Legends. And I'm like, there's storage over here we could be playing with on a Saturday night.
I need to look into like dedicated servers for Astroneer, because I would absolutely, if you could create they probably exist on PC at least, a dedicated server where you can, a bit like with Minecraft, where once you've paid for the realm, as it were, you can just log in at any time.
You definitely can.
You definitely
it's a
can.
faff, but you definitely can. Yeah.
I've got a feeling they started doing that officially, but after we'd sort of not platinum, but 100%ed it. But I wouldn't be against trying that because I love that game.
Oh, it's so good.
It'd be interesting to see if you're talking about No Man's Sky this time next week. That's all I would say.
No, and I might not. No, maybe not. I think I might still turn it on every now and then, but like, it will be dethroned by things I need to play and other co-op games. Like we played this game for it to be a co-op experience.
Yeah, this is just not.
And it's not that. It really isn't. And, it's that part of it is a shame.
Hopefully, my game for this week, to bring up what to talk about, can be both cooperative and competitive, because I've reviewed Nintendo Switch Sports, which by the time you watch this or listen to this, it will be out. At the time we're recording, it's out tomorrow, actually. It's really difficult, because it was easy to review because it's like just tell people about each sport, if that makes sense. It wasn't a hard one to write about, but it is difficult to talk at length about, because essentially the review could be one sentence. If you loved Wii Sports, you'll love this. But the difference here is that I think Nintendo are slowly embracing the online of the, I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, Nintendo have finally got it right. No,
let's not go crazy.
Let's not be silly.
But they're getting there. But they are getting there with things. I would go so far as to say, and I said this in the review, if you were buying Nintendo Switch Sports to exclusively play alone, if that's how you played Wii Sports and enjoyed it, okay. I don't think there'd be many people that are in that situation. I think most people would have played Wii Sports with someone. You might have just done bowling. Bowling's fine on your own. You can get your kicks playing bowling on your own. But I think all of the sports outside of bowling are better with people. Bowling feels a little bit, and tennis as well, because they're kind of rehashes, if you know what I mean. They exist. Although at the same time, playing the bowling, like with my entire family, I had a moment where it was like someone else's turn, and I was sat watching, kind of like you do when you're at a real bowling alley. We went bowling recently, and there was 6 of us, so it was a while between turns. And in this situation, I sat there going, it's taken them 5 years. What? Why is it taking them 5 years? Because that game is like, one of the most beloved games on that system, and highly, and it's like, and the only thing I could think is that they really did not want anyone comparing the Switch to the Wii or the Wii U, and they wanted enough separation where they could get, because they could have put this out any time, I reckon. But bowling's still fine. They could have launched with it.
But they chose to do like
1-2 Switch. Yeah.
Switch.
I was left a little bit wondering why they're not. They should have just released bowling as its standalone thing, and said we're going to release a package at some point. If I was there, I would. That's business. I'm not being funny. It's not nice, but that's business. They should have put bowling out ages ago. Anyway, bowling is what it was. You still twist it at the end either way to get the spin on it. I like the I forget what it's called, special mode, where you got all the obstacles. It's as you remember. It is as you remember it, in a higher fidelity. Tennis is the same ish. The odd thing for me is the inclusion of tennis and badminton. Because I don't fully understand. Well, I think I know why they've done it. I think they've done it because tennis is the doubles mode, and you can only play tennis in doubles, and badminton is singles, and you can only play tennis in singles. Now, for those not familiar with either sport, both of those have a doubles, and both of those have a singles in the real world. In this, they don't, and I think tennis really, really suffers for that. And I think badminton would be one of my favourites if it had doubles, if that makes sense. Tennis, you can be on the same team as someone in doubles, but if you go 1v1 or you against a computer, the other player is like a ghosty person of you, and so when you swing, they both swing. So that can actually be a bit confusing and a bit strange because you are physically both characters. Yeah. I wonder if they had problems with the AI in singles or something, or I just don't. Maybe the court measurements or the scaling of the courts. But
when they announced badminton here, I always thought it was weird.
Yeah,
like when they said and badminton, I was like, so why? Like it felt really weird. I was like, you've got tennis, why do you need badminton? And maybe that's the reason, but
I think it must be.
It always felt like a really weird. It's the same, right? To all the badminton and tennis players out there, like I know it's not the same game, but mechanically to play it with a switch.
Well, let me put it this way: in tennis and badminton, they're the only two sports on the game that don't have a tutorial, because you just hit the ball.
Yeah.
Or the shuttlecock. All the other sports have a tutorial, whether it's chambara, volleyball, football, or bowling. Even I think bowling does bowling. Bowling may not. I can't remember if I'm honest with you. It's been a while now since I started it. But the thing is, I wonder if it would bother me as much. But because they've announced golf is coming, I kind of wish they'd put golf on it and then give them one of the others. Like, I don't know, did tennis have to be here because it's like, well, people love the tennis and the bowling. We've got to bring the tennis and the bowling back. I wonder. But because of that, I think tennis is my least favourite. I really enjoy badminton because because of this. I don't know if either of you have played badminton, but it's a really frenetic sport in real life. Like, it is you want to sweat, play badminton or squash. They're the racket sports that will get you sweating quick. But it's just really fun, and I think also badminton because it's not literally 1-to-1, is it? I know it's 1-to-1 movement, but it's not like really playing badminton. None of these are really that way, are they? You know, it's well, some of them are, but that one isn't. And you can get a decent rally going. Doesn't matter really your skill level, and I think that's a major boon for accessibility in terms of the sport. Like my wife, she's not into gaming or anything, but she has played badminton, so we can have a good rally and a competitive match in badminton, and that's great. Volleyball's really good fun. Really good fun.
I'm interested by that.
It works kind of better than I expected. Well, so I mean, the Chambara is just great. Like it's I think was it Wii Sports Resorts they had this in where you had the pugilism and that, and
they did, didn't they?
Yeah, and it's how I remember that, and they've added some stuff I think I don't remember being there. Like you can do kind of like a Travis beam katana thing. So if you hold your sword and block, every time you block, it charges, and then when you fully charge it, you can unleash this like a double powerful one, so you knock them back a bit further. And there's also like dual wielding you can do if you've got two, and you can it's crazy. But football is the best one, and I honestly thought football would be garbage. I thought I don't know why they've done this. It's brilliant. I was
really worried. Like badminton, I thought was a bit weird. Football, I was like, that's going to be slow and crap. Like that's what talk about reviewing it before I even played it. But I was like, that's what I'd assumed it was going to be. If I'm honest, I'm so pleased to hear that it's not.
No, football's I would say by far the best one. It's basically Rocket League reverse engineered Rocket League, which is such a weird thing because Rocket League is football with cars.
The fact that you have to see the fact that you have to say a football game is it's like Rocket League just without the cars.
But it is because it's got this big arena. In 1v1, if you're watching the video, this is the 1v1 arena. The 4v4 arena is much bigger, but it's a huge football, and like the diving header is it's a thing of beauty. I mean, talking about best moments coming end of the year, the diving header of this game is magical. It is so ridiculously silly to see, and you've got a jump button as well, so you can actually jump and then swing both controllers down and dive in header. And it's one of these things where it's deliberately not like this realistic animation. It's like if they jump, it's then just like you dive header. It's like it's like an instant like
it's
torpedo.
It's stupid almost.
Yes, yeah, but it's every time it's never not funny. And like football's the one I can't wait to go online and play because it's where Rocket League is technical. The football in this is, I think they've dialed back the technicality and made it a little more accessible. Mm-hmm. And I think because of that, it means listen, you're going to find people are going to find, oh, if I hit it at that angle there, it always goes in or whatever. But a lot of it is like you're essentially punching and kicking a beach ball around a football arena. And that means that random stuff can happen. Like and also you rely on motion control. So if you swing like right to left, if you swing too far right first as a pullback, you might accidentally swing right, and then left, which means you could be trying to kick it left, but because you've gone such a pullback, you kick it right first and score an own goal. It's got all the things like in Rocket League where you jump and then you do an overhead kick and clear it off the line at the last second. It's just in reach and you get it and stuff like that. It's exactly what it sounds like. But I think it's the best thing. It's so much fun. Like, I cannot wait to play this online, and I would never... I'm crap at Rocket League. I'm really hoping that you can, like... The online options aren't limited, if that makes sense. I'm really hoping you can,
Yeah.
It's interesting to me they talked about whatever I forget what the new Mario Strikers is called. But they've already said, like, you're going to be able to do clubs on that. You can create God is a Geek club, and we can all play for that club. I'll bet that's not in this, and I'd be a pisser.
No, I was gonna say, because when you were saying about like it's like silly nonsense and stuff like that, I was like, that's where you start getting into the Mario Strikers. Obviously, that'll be more technical, obviously, and there'll be more to it. But like,
yes, that's true.
That's the balance you've got to run. You don't want to create Mario Strikers here just without Mario and then release Mario Strikers.
No.
So no, they have to be some separation. But no, I'm pleased because I thought that it might not be, so I'm pleased that it's very good.
The only thing I say is, once again, just to remind you, like if you play offline, even if you play multiplayer offline, there's no progression. Like you can't earn any of the customization stuff for your avatar. You can't, there's very basic. There's like one starting outfit for every part of you, and they're all you can do is change some of the colors. Whereas when you play it online, you actually have like ranking systems and unlocks and progression in that respect. So even if you buy it and think, oh, it's cool, I don't want to go online, but I want to play, with my family, with my mates, and we have beers and that, whatever. You're all going to look very similar because there's only so many haircuts, there's only so many colors. It's like there's one point where. Like myself and my two boys were playing, and we're obviously, they look like me-ish because they're my kids, But what I mean is, like, we could
Genetics 101.
Well, it's like we've all got similar hair colors and similar, like features. So it's like it was three identical characters with identical clothing because at the time we were doing it, there was no online available. And so, like, it was down to the fact that you changed the colours, and that was how you identified it. And to the point where one of my boys like made his hair blue because it's like, well, at least I know that one's me without looking at the name.
Yeah.
But they also do smart things. Like I think there's a lot of nice accessible things here. Like in the football specifically, when you're doing a 1v1 split screen, as you've probably seen in our videos, there's arrows on the screen which are directing you shoot that way, and obviously they're the opposite. So if you're player one and that's pink. There's pink arrows directing along the side of the billboard saying shoot that way. And player two, who's then blue, it's got blue arrows. Yeah. And I think that sort of little... That's one thing I love Nintendo for, like that. These just small little touches that I think nowadays I'd like to think most developers would make. But it's like, if I've never played football or don't understand the basics of football, it's telling me, go that way. It's they're coming this way with the ball, you go that way. And like because of the nature of it being not actual football, and because you're moving around a lot and jumping and all this, that, and the other, you can get turned around with the camera.
Yeah, I'd say the fact that Rocket League colours its half sometimes makes it doesn't have arrows. Sort of thing. But it's a similar thing, isn't it? You can easily get turned around sometimes. So
the only thing I would say is that also football is also the most involved of all the sports. Like you have to play with two Joy-Cons. Because you have to use the left stick. Well, I suppose you could use the right if you're left-handed. But you know what I mean? You have to use a stick to move your character around and then kick with the football. And you can move the camera with the other stick, but you have to use both. I don't think there's another one on the on the game that actually requires both, unless you want to do two-handed stuff. Then obviously, that's different. Phil Tyndall's asking in the comment section of the live chat of the video here, do you think Switch Sports should have been free with the Nintendo Online expansion pass? One of the reasons Wii Sports was so big was it is a packing game. A lot of Wii owners owned nothing else. No, I this is something I sort of addressed in a little bit of in the review, is that I am confident in my recommendation for this game because it's not full priced, I believe. I think it's 40 quid instead of 60. I don't know if anyone can check that while we're talking, but I want to say it's actually a cheaper price game, which is rare for Nintendo.
Yeah.
What I would have done is I would have put out like a Nintendo Switch Pass version, like that's just got bowling and tennis. And hey, if you want to play football, everyone's raving about, and if you want to play volleyball, you got to buy the full thing. I would certainly have done that. Like I say, golf's coming. There's definitely room on the map. I think it's called Spocko Arena or something like that. There's definitely room for what I can see, the way the game's sort of laid out the menus where you select the sport. There's definitely space I can see for 2 more sports. Now we know golf's coming. The obvious one for me would be where the hell's baseball? Because again, baseball was one of those back in the day. Yeah. Baseball was one of those that I'm trying to think what other ones there were. I quite liked disc golf. I forget which one that was in.
Oh yeah, that was in the resort, wasn't it? Yeah.
But I want to say I remember similar arguments that I'm having with myself about badminton and tennis over the inclusion of golf and disc golf. They're all sport is sport. They're all,
Just to stay on the pricing, obviously this is UK, but physical is $39.99 and digital's £30.99. So it is very much.
That's a lot cheaper for a Nintendo game, and with golf being free in the future, I suppose I should mention there is also another optional mode. I don't know if that $39.99 does that come with the attachment. Is it like a little box version? Because there's I haven't got it handy.
Yes, it comes with the
strap for your leg.
The strap thing, yeah.
Well, that's the thing that you would have if you got Ring Fit Adventure.
Yes, that's right. And digital is obviously just the download. So.
Yes, of course. It's a totally optional mode, and I would say it's the least interesting. But it's essentially someone kicks a ball in, and you then kick it because your Joy-Con's attached, and it's like a penalty shootout, but it's not penalties. It's outside the box, and if you get really good, the goal shrinks and gets really small.
Oh, right, okay.
But after you've done it once, like successfully, even if you want to just keep being competitive with your siblings or family, it's like. This is very limited. Like I said it in the review, of all the things Nintendo have put in this game, it's probably the most gimmicky, which is weird because it should... Like, I didn't look into it too much before release, but I actually thought there was like a separate mode where you could run around with the stick and then kick.
Yeah.
But it's
That's
not
what I originally thought it was for.
No, it's not that. It's fine. I suspect that might be a mode they add something to. It would be really easy for them to add obstacles to that and say, like, here's a free kick wall, you have to kick round it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
It would be
like
super easy for them to do
or
that.
Something,
yeah,
like,
it would be mega easy.
That kind of stuff.
Like the framework's all there. And that's what I think this is, by the way. In the way people said they wanted Mario Kart to be the framework for, like, just keep adding stuff to it, and now they are. That's what I see this as. I see this as a framework they're going to add to. I mean, it would just make sense to me for them to keep adding sports. But there you go. I absolutely endorse that game if you're going to play it multiplayer-wise. That's really important, though. If you're buying it, listen, you know yourself. If you loved playing Wii Sports alone or Wii Sports Resorts alone, and you've got all the entertainment in the world out of it, knock yourself out. For me, this is a game for multiplayer sessions. So,
yeah. And I think a lot of people who played Wii Sport at a younger age might not have as many people to play with now, and I think it would be a big mistake for them to be like, oh, I loved Wii Sports, if they know they're not going to have people to play with it. It feels like that's a situation that could very easily happen and might be something that people could fall into and then kind of think of the game as being worse when it's not really the game's doing, if you know what I mean.
I absolutely agree. I mean, like, I am genuinely looking forward to this being out available for everyone, so I can hop online and just have a frame of bowling, a couple of bowling matches, or just take someone at tennis, because all Nintendo sports games, from golf, tennis, the works, football will be the same, I guarantee you. They are fine offline. They work. They're still the same mechanically and they're fun, but they are brilliant when you play them online or against humans or offline. But that's kind of all I've really played, apart from No Man's Sky. So, Lyle, what have you been up to, mate?
Well, I think we should keep the multiplayer theme
Okay.
going for the podcast for now. So I wanted to play this a lot sooner, but PC issues unfortunately meant I had to wait a little while. But I've been playing the early access version of Midnight Ghost Hunt, which is a 4v4 like multiplayer game where there's one team that's sort of 4 ghost hunters and a team that's 4 ghosts, and it's sort of got it's the sort of prop hunt type of game, I guess. I've not really done much playing of that kind of odd, newish genre, but yeah, from what I'm aware, that's the sort of thing it is. So if you're the ghosts, basically, your role is to before the ghost hunters arrive, find something to sort of possess and hide in. So, like, maybe you want to be like, the levels are really exciting, cool, like environments. They're really detailed, really interesting. So, like, there's one that's a theater, so you might want to be in one of the chairs because there's going to be loads of chairs. It's going to be hard to find you, or maybe you just want to find something small that you can sneak behind something else, like a little tin of paint or something. And basically, how they make it so that it's not boring to be a ghost, I guess, is you have a meter. You're called your ectoplasm meter that builds up slowly while you're hiding. So basically, as this builds up, the gadgets that the ghost hunters bring in. So, like, there's like a little sort of like radar where the needle moves up a little bit as you get closer to a ghost, so you can kind of hone in on them. Or there's one where you like, there's almost like a radar gun that you have to point in a direction, and it starts to tell you when you're facing the same sort of way that the ghost could be. And if your ectoplasm gauge builds up, the gadgets are going to find you, like, are going to really like hone in on you mega quick if people are good at this game. And it's been in early access now for a few weeks, so there are people out there who are good at this game.
The experience I had is what you're describing. I've only played one game, but the experience I had is exactly what you're describing.
Yeah. So, like,
they were good.
So basically, what you'll need to do, the way I play as a ghost, I'll talk about being the hunter at some point as well, but I think it's sort of more exciting to come at it from the ghost angle. Is like, I had a perk where you can see where everyone is through walls if they're nearby. So the hunters. So I'd try and find somewhere that was a little bit boxed off, so there'd be like they wouldn't be able to see me, and I'd be able to see them because they'd be through walls. And I'd sort of like move or find a sort of area to move about a bit. And once they started to sort of swarm the room, you sort of try and find a way to distract them and escape. So as well as just like the basic hiding in objects, or each ghost has a power that they can sort of select at the start of the map, like they're sort of like their sort of skill as in a loadout. So you might have one where you just turn invisible briefly and can maybe like sneak away that way, or you could have a perk where you fly through the air so you can dodge out of the way by like going to a different floor. And what I'd do is, if I'd say I was in this box, I would send out a fake ghost in a different direction, so everyone would chase after it, and then this tiny little paint kind of just zooms out of the room and goes to hide somewhere else, basically. And I mean, there's a lot of depth to it, really. When you're playing from the hunter side, you can only pick one gadget to find the ghosts. You can't take the one that shows the direction they're in and the radar. And there's one that does like sort of spectral footprints almost, which anytime anyone moves, you leave them, which means that moving's also dangerous. So basically, you sort of have to get used to the fact that you're going to have one way to find ghosts, and that's it, really. And you can sort of swap mid-match, but I think the main problem with the game, and don't get me wrong, I love this game. I've played over 15 hours now, I think, and I've not really been playing for very long. Like, since last week's podcast, I wasn't playing then, and I have, in that time, fit in that amount of playtime. But the new player experience is awful. Yeah. Like, there's a tutorial, and it doesn't teach you very much. It doesn't really give you the details of what's going on very well, because it's quite a complex game, really. Like,
it gives you
there
very
isn't much
basic information, but like
like it'll give you a radar and it'll show the meter going up, and there'll be like one box in the room, and it's like, oh look, the ghost might be in there. In like a practical setting, you have no clue how to play at all. Like the first few hours, and hopefully out of early access, this won't be an issue because this isn't version 1.0.
Benefit from having like a you versus bots type situation. Where
definitely, I think so too. There are bots as well. If someone drops out of the game, a bot takes over. So you'd kind of think that maybe that would be an option, but yeah, it isn't currently anyway. But yeah, when you are like the start of this game is just so difficult. You'll be hiding somewhere and you won't have they don't really explain the ectoplasm gauge, which is kind of the most important aspect of the game, really. So if you're hiding and are still, and this meter's building up, everyone just zones in straight to you and just starts shooting this box you're hiding in, and then you pop out of the box, and the time to kill's quick. Like, they'll get a few shots on you, you're dead. That's it. Like, if you're not using all of these little abilities perfectly, then that's the issue. So the aim of the game, anyway, I've been talking about sort of what's happening, but the aim for the ghost is to wait 5 minutes because the hunters arrive at 11:55, and when the clock strikes midnight, the ghosts go an evil glowing red color and get I think they get about double health and double the attack power, and you can really very easily destroy a team of the hunters. So So there's a real time pressure. So when you're playing as a hunter, you'll be like maybe in the first minute, if you found 2 ghosts, you feel amazing. But sometimes you'll just be walking around for 3 minutes without any of the team spotting anyone, and it feels rotten. It's like there's such a pressure there. It's like, because if it hits that end at midnight, not only will the ghosts get more powerful, all the dead ghosts resurrect, and yeah, you're gonna have a real bad time of various T-Rex skulls and statues all moving towards you and hurling themselves at you. It's very very intense.
But it's the thing is, it didn't. So when I knew all of that because I'd read your preview or impressions piece, and I played the tutorials that are there. What I wasn't aware of is that when you hit midnight, you just come back to life wherever you stood.
Just where you are, yeah.
So I literally, people watching this are going to see this happen. I've been following them around and doing my best to put them off and, do what I could to help my team.
Because when you're dead, you have a sort of little power.
Yeah, you can. I'm trying to think. There's other games that do it, and I can't. But you'll just see it on the video there. I respawned, and I'm like, oh, I've respawned right where I was, and then they all were just 3 of them were in front of me, and it's like it's over because. And then like you say, I'm running away because I'm a weakened state, and I didn't really know what to do because it doesn't give you the tutorial for this. It just tells you this. Yeah, and I didn't know what to do. I thought, well, all I can do is hurl myself at them again. So I tried doing that, and then I died.
Yeah, because as a ghost, you could attack the hunters at any time, but it's generally a bad idea before you are powered up by midnight. But any object you're in, you sort of you hold down the trigger and you can propel it through the air, and you can use that to escape in a lot of situations. Like if you just hurl a box through a window, the hunters are on a different floor. They don't stand a chance. They have to walk there. You'll have hid somewhere better by then. But but in a fight, you can just if you take a sofa, you can throw a sofa at a hunter, and it's probably going to do a lot of damage to them. But
the concerns I have one is that ectoplasm thing. I'm slightly concerned because I'm not sure I like that mechanic. But I played one match. Because some of the thing about prop hunt is that you the genre, so to speak, is that you find a prop, you become the prop, and you stay in a place which is creative and they can't tell. My other concern sort of plays into that is that are the maps in any way randomized? Because otherwise, I felt like what I did is I turned into some boxes and I hid in a corner where there's some other boxes, but I feel like they came in the room and went, that's not supposed to be there.
No, they are randomized.
Okay.
Every time you play, the items are in different places.
That's fine.
Yeah. But what I'll say is, I felt really bad for you because you were going to capture some footage for the podcast, and I knew you didn't have much time, so you were basically just going to be playing a couple of matches. And I already talked about the new player experience, but I came away from my first hour, maybe 2 hour session of this game thinking oh, I was really excited for this, and not being that interested at all. And just I was I knew I'd go back and try it because I really liked the idea, but I didn't really have that good a time because I mean, I just got absolutely battered over and over and over again. Like, I basically didn't win a match unless my team just did everything, and I was sort of the lemon in the corner who'd wandered about flailing with a radar that you couldn't figure out what it was pointing to. And like, after the time I've put into it, like there'll be times now where the hunters will run past and I'll know exactly where they're going and what they're going to do, and I'll slip away, and there's a level that has a little ramp that leads out the window. So as I know that as they're coming round and notice that, like, you know, something's moved, that if I go just under that ramp they won't spot me. And it's just like, there's just all these little things. It's so polished as well. Like, for an early access game, it's kind of incredible. Like, I've not seen a bug. I've not had a match crash. I've not.
What I would say is one of the reasons I wanted to cover this is that, one, I think it's got a cracking trailer. You know,
it's a really good trailer. Yeah.
But two, the publisher behind it, I think, have just had home run after home run.
Yeah.
Like, Coffee Stain haven't developed it. Like, Coffee Stain have only developed, as far as I can remember, Goat Simulator and then Satisfactory, which is so, just saying that out loud is like,
that's really weird. I hadn't realised.
I think I'm right in saying that. But in terms of publishing, they published Deep Rock Galactic, banger. They published, obviously, Satisfactory because they made it, banger. Valheim, well, I mean, we know how successful that's been. So when you've kind of got that trio of games, and then you find out, hang on, we're also publishing this game called Midnight Ghost Hunt, it's just one of those things where you feel like, and there are other publishers that do this, but they are definitely one of those where when they announce a game's coming through them, one of my biggest sort of journalistic regrets is that I interviewed the CEO of Coffee Stain, and every bit of software I had, including the backup, fucked up, and I lost the recording. And it was such a good interview because we talked about stuff like, you know, how do you pick the games, and it genuinely seems like they are picking games that they believe in, and getting, you know, these partnerships with developers that they really believe these games are cool and offer something. And when you look at it, like I say, Deep Rock, Satisfactory, Valheim, like, they are they're broad, but they're also all, I think all of them seem super polished as well, even when they first came out. And I think, you know, it's one of those games where I was playing it because Chris and I, what was the game we played that was a prop hunt game?
We played Prop Night.
Oh, it was actually Prop Hunt, wasn't it? Yeah.
And like,
you hated it.
I didn't get on with it, and this is why I was really interested for this conversation, because, like, I like the idea of it, but I literally, the first game, I didn't have a clue.
No, you were genuinely angry playing that game.
I was like, what am I supposed to... You've told me nothing. You throw me in a game of randoms who've clearly played it more than the first time, which is always going to happen. But I'm like, I don't know what anything does.
Yep.
I don't know what my powers are. They're just icons on a screen that I can occasionally press a button for. And I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. People are dancing around me, taking the mick out of me because they can see I'm useless, and that just makes it worse. Time is going, all this sort of stuff. I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And I played it a few more times, kind of got a little bit of it, but I feel like it worries me a little bit with what you said. Like, you've got to get through the first couple of hours of like.
This is the thing. This is better. Much better.
And I'm sure it
but
is.
I did. Even the one match I played, I was like, I don't think Chris would like this.
Yeah,
I didn't because of how it ended. I mean, we actually won the match, which is I had a fucking clue how that match got won, because I felt like someone was dead before me and I was shit. And it felt like we were against a team of mates who knew what they were doing. You know, they had one person who attacked and then one who had the vacuum straight away to suck it up. You know,
it's interesting, isn't it? I feel like with these, for me, this is purely me, and it's not because I don't like other people like that. I don't know. I don't mind playing games of randoms, but I feel like when we played like Project Winter, which I know is a completely separate game, but like asymmetrical multiplayer, whatever, but playing that with mates, at least you're kind of learning as you go. Because I entered into that and I went, look, Lyle, what the bloody hell's going on here? And like,
it sounds to me like you like the smaller, kind of more, well, Back for Blood is a game I would mention, because there is you and a couple of mates against AI.
Yeah, I prefer it. I think I do prefer it against
I think
AI,
I also would say I prefer that
like,
overall.
Also,
not Back for Blood, I mean against AI.
Yeah, I do.
Like Extraction, for example.
What's that?
Rainbow Six Extraction is a 3-player game. Much easier to get 3 people playing against AI, you know.
Yeah, definitely do. But I do think the other thing is, with like, I just like to know what's going on and what I'm supposed to be doing. Well, the thing is,
there's so much that can go on here. I'm not giving them an excuse. I'm not saying, oh, well, it's okay. The tutorials, like at the end of the Hunters, the humanoid tutorial, it says, if you want, you can now just go out the door and do the ghost one. Or you can play with all the tools at the, what's it called? Like the
generator, I think.
Yeah,
is
generator, that is it, yeah.
Yeah.
And I looked at that for a minute, I was like, okay, so I switched my weapon out for the salt shotgun.
Yeah.
And I am saying salt shotgun, not assault. Salt, as in...
It fires salt, yeah. Salt and pepper.
Yeah, it fires salt. But then it's just like, there's just like 3 ghosts going side to side like a fairground thing. And you're like, I'm shooting them going...
Seems all right.
This isn't helping me in any way. In fact, the other gun felt more powerful. Why would I want this? And then I'm like, okay, so this is not really... I'd like to think there's... Lyle sums it up. There needs to be more onboarding, like better onboarding. Yeah. Because then you go to the ghost tutorial, and again, it shows you the first phase, and then says, what you got to do is get to midnight, and then you're powerful. Anyway, go play the game. You're like, what? What do you mean? You're not going to show me that in any way? Like, it just needs better onboarding. And hey, early access.
Early access. That's
like,
totally.
And that may be like we talk about how polished it's a very nice looking game, by the way.
It is. It's lovely.
Really nice looking.
Really
game.
Lovely. And yeah, it's just that is the biggest shame. It's that there will be people who only get a chance to play an hour or 2 of it, might get unlucky in the matches, and are just starting out.
Yeah, I'll never play this again, sort of thing.
Yeah, and don't play it again, and that's that is a shame because it's very good.
Controller.
Yeah, I played with controller.
I was going to ask about that because I mouse and keyboard. That confirms it for me. Then this is definitely coming to consoles. Like I would be absolutely shocked if it doesn't. Especially the state it's in.
Oh, totally. Yeah,
I don't know when, but I would. Yeah.
That wasn't a reveal.
No, I don't know anything. Just from what I played of it, because when Lyle said you said, I think I was talking about where you launch yourself and you said you hold the trigger. For me, that's hold the right mouse button. So when you said that, I wanted to ask because the second you said that, I thought, oh, if it maps to controller already, it definitely going to hit. Yeah, it is. It's bound to. A game like Satisfactory or Valheim, I understand why they haven't.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's so much menus and stuff, whereas this is, okay. We have got another game to talk about this week, though, haven't we, Lyle? It's an old game,
we do, yes.
But sort of come new again. I don't know.
Yeah, it's Bugsnax. Basically, it's Bugsnax. But it is. You can do the whole song here if you want to, but
probably get copyright.
Basically,
true. Sorry,
or you can just say bunga a lot. That also works.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been playing Bugsnax on Switch because now Bugsnax is portable. And
I should say, sorry, Lyle, I don't mean to interrupt you there, but just so anyone watching the video podcast, this is not Switch footage. It is the original PS5 footage I captured 2 years ago.
Yeah, a couple of years ago now. So if you didn't play it on the PlayStation when it released, or haven't heard of it at all, Bugsnax is basically a game where you go to a mysterious island which is inhabited by strange creatures that are a cross between a bug and a snack, essentially. So you'll, a walking burger or a...
Slow down, Lyle. This is getting far too complicated.
Sorry. I don't mean to be making it too complex for anyone. And you go to a village on this island and you help the weird Muppet people who live there by feeding them these snacks. And when you feed them the snacks, their body parts turn into food and they're really happy about it. And it's quite weird, but very charming. And the game's just about
dark. Let's not pretend it's not dark as.
I don't want to. Obviously, we don't want to spoil anything.
No, I'm going to say nothing other than
places.
It's dark as.
It goes places, and also it's just, even regardless, it's just unnerving to see a humanoid creature have its arm turn into a hot dog and be really happy about it.
Fries
because that's just unusual. Just the idea that if my body parts turned into food, I think it would inconvenience my life. I'm just going to say it.
It brings back the cannibalism conversation, doesn't it?
It does bring back the cannibalism conversation.
Let's not.
Quite related, some would say. The main thing, the whole point of the game is you capture these snacks with a variety of little gadgets. Like maybe you'll lay down a trap and you'll put ketchup on it so the burger wants to go towards it and then capture it in the trap.
Sorry, the what wants to go to it?
The bunga, sorry. The bunga.
Which sounds so filthy, that word, by the way.
It does. It doesn't
You
sound.
can't
It
stop
doesn't.
saying it once you started. Bunga, 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 bunga. Sorry,
You
carry on.
can't. And yeah, it's a really fun, just sort of like the whole experience. And what's so great about the game is it's just experimenting in these nice little environments to sort of see what your kit can make happen with the different critters and how you can capture them and everything. It's a really fun experience, and it was on the PS5 and on the Switch. It runs really, really, really well. It's a great port. It's the frame rate's not like there's the odd frame drop here and there.
I'm guessing it runs at 30 on the Switch.
Yeah, it's definitely. You can tell it runs at 30, but and like sometimes like you'll be running along and there'll be flowers on the ground and they'll just pop out of nowhere because as you'd expect. But in terms of how it looks and how it plays, it's like it's all you could ever ask for, really, and it's a really fun game to have on the go because it's quite easy to play in sort of 10-minute bursts of just go into this area and mess about playing with these creatures. The only thing that's kind of unfortunate about playing it on Switch is it was originally kind of a really good showcase for the DualSense because it was a PS5 launch title. So using the different traps that have all the adaptive trigger stuff, all the haptics, like everything about it, it was sort of it wasn't quite on the Astro's Playroom level of essential playing for that, but it really elevated the game. And on the Switch, not having that, I mean, obviously it can't do those things. It's not like the console just doesn't have those features, and because of that, it's a little less magical. It's still a really fun game, and I still really enjoyed it. But yeah, because of just not having those built-in features, it's certainly a downgrade other than the portability, which you'd expect it to be. They have also added new content, which is new on. It's coming to the PlayStation where it was, and it's available at launch on the Switch
as well, I believe,
and it's free, and it's the Isle of Bigsnax, which are Bugsnax, right? But get this, they're big.
Hang on.
Are they big?
I was going to say, we're going to have to guess here because we'll never get it.
Yeah, no, sorry. I won't make you guess. It takes too long.
It would take too long.
So the first Bigsnax you meet is a jumbo bunga, and it's a bunga, but it's massive, right? So I really wanted this to be this amazing extra content that was that would bring people back and, feel free to go back and play this content. But it misses a bit of the magic of the original. So the sort of big thing that's different is just that the snacks are really big. So before you get any of them.
But I was kind of hoping it would be new ones, not just big ones.
Oh, it is new ones.
Because
the bunga's sort of the returning one. But
right, okay, no, fine.
Outside of that, I think
Does it have
every
the
other
same
one
voice,
is
or is it like even deeper?
I think it's deeper, yeah. It's a deeper bunga.
Oh god.
Ooh. So yeah, it is new Bugsnax, and you go to the island. It's a bit nightmarish to unlock. You have to beat pretty much every side quest in the game. It sort of
I was going to say how it sort of works because there's a story. So
there is a story.
If I was to go back to it, I'd be going back to the point just before the very end of the game, which is an interesting point. That's all I'll say. So, I was going to ask, how is it played with that?
Yeah, you need to complete... If you complete a certain character's side quest, a certain paranoid character's side quest, shall we say, then he suddenly stands in the middle of the village, and when you talk to him, says there's been some seismic activity recently and something suspicious is going on, meet me at the beach. And then you go down to the beach with him, and this island's appeared out of nowhere. So you need to get together a crew to go and investigate it. And each one of those crew members, you have to have beaten their multi-stage side quest before you get to the island.
So it literally is endgame stuff, really.
It's as endgame as it gets. You need to have every character.
Lucky I got the
village.
Platinum then, isn't it? Because I'm literally there. But yeah.
So you need to get you need to have every villager in the village, and you need to have beaten the side quests of 4 of them.
Yeah.
And there's 12 total, so it's a decent chunk of the game. You need to have you need to not only have got far in the game, but you need to have done a lot of extra content. But yeah, then you go over to the island. I think the biggest issue really is it's a massive area, but it has less snacks in than the other areas, and it's just one area. So like if you think of the main game was like sort of 9 zones, I think roundabout, it's one new zone, and it has about the same amount of snacks in it, but it's a lot bigger. And because of that, in between the snacks, there's more like puzzles. So there are these walls that you put, you've got the strawberry in a little like hamster ball that you guide about to lure snacks around and solve a few like problems and stuff. But there are walls where you basically have to solve like a maze with it, and you have to do that sort of like 4 or 5 different times. And then other than that, there's like torches that are lit, and you need to light torches to open other doors. So you put like one of your gadgets on that and shoot it over to another torch to light them. And it feels more like it's about solving kind of basic puzzles than it is catching the snacks, and I just don't think it's quite the same experience. It's not what I enjoyed Bugsnax for. It wasn't,
because like what I don't want to be like, well, it's free, so what are we moaning about? Not at all, because at the end of the day, it's that's what we're here to do. But like, is it one of these situations where, look, if you wanted an excuse to come back and play this game again, it's free. But does it like, let's say you haven't got a PS5, you can't play it on PC, and you've been waiting for this game to come to Xbox or Switch.
Yeah.
Does it actually add value to this version, or is it?
It's
more, I guess.
Yeah, there's more of it. I mean, if I was playing through and wanted to, it was the sort of person who was sort of aiming to do everything in the game. I was basically going in thinking I might get the platinum on this game, like a certain person on this podcast. I'd go to it and I'd play it, and it would be, I'd enjoy it. It's fun, but for me, it was the worst area of the game. Like, it's the bit I enjoyed the least, which, it's not amazing. I mean, it's new content, it's free, it's part of the package. Like, if you're going to do everything going across there, you're not gonna hate it. It's not
just
terrible.
Not as good as the other stuff.
It's just a little bit less good than the others, and I just think the whole hook of it isn't that. Like, it's not different even, really. Like, the snacks are big, so you throw these vases that are around the island at them, and then they turn small and you capture them, and it's like,
oh, that's disappointing. I was hoping there was going to be new ways of using
you just find vases and throw them at them, and you shrink them, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I like what you're saying in terms of like they've tried to think about how you can use the current tools to solve puzzles. That sounds interesting. But if the whole Bigsnax thing is basically just an extra step to capture something, that feels a bit disappointing.
Yeah, that's all it is pretty much. And like, there'll be some you'll need to do something to before the vases work on them, but it's kind of just like in the same way that you'd need to like get some snacks to fight with each other before the work on. It's the same sort of thing.
Yeah, like stop their fire or something before you can capture that kind of stuff.
I mean, it's still fun, and there's still some great designs of creatures in there that are just like cool to look at and sort of adorable and a bit goofy, but it's just not this incredible, you have to reinstall this game and play this content. Like,
but what I would also say, I mean, I haven't played it, but as a slight counter is that it's nice that some people are still making DLC proper, like proper expansion, because I noticed that the sort of nomenclature around the whole thing has changed, and that things are called expansions now or add-ons, and it's like, but an add-on can be like a new coat. We used to have there's the game, there's the microtransactions, and there's the DLC, and there's not so much of it these days. Like, I mean, the Tiny Tina's Wonderlands DLC is like, it's pretty slight, if I'm honest. But then, to be honest with you, I'm wondering now how slight it is compared to. But I mean, Bigsnax sounds a bit more than that. But,
I mean, it'll probably take you a little under an hour to blitz through it,
isn't then okay.
To find everything. It might take 2. But that's about as much as you'll get out of it, really.
Look, what I would say is, if you've just tuned in live or something and you're like, I've been waiting for Bugsnax the game, we're saying
Bugsnax is great.
Yeah,
Bugsnax is amazing. I love Bugsnax, and it's really good on Switch.
But perhaps don't buy it for Bigsnax. Why would you do that? But just
yeah.
Okay. Listener correspondence time, Mr. Hyde.
It's time for Chris Hyde's Listener Correspondence. Right. Keep going with that every week, Steve. Okay, so the first one, whether there's just going to be bird-related questions every week, I'm not sure. But McPoo asks, what's everyone's best video game bird? Lyle, I'll come to you first.
I mean, Kazooie of Banjo-Kazooie is a pretty good one. I was also thinking you could go back to like the NES and say Alfred Chicken, which is a weird platformer where you play as a chicken.
Best bird.
I think I'm just going to say Kazooie though. Kazooie's quite a fun character. Brings a bit of spice.
I had a few. That was one of them. So that's that one of them gone.
You could say any flying Pokemon you wanted. Then you're talking about Pokemon as well, and that's great.
I can't even think of a.
I had Squawks from Donkey Kong.
Oh yeah, that's quite a good one.
He's quite handy for lighting up dark areas. I was trying to think if there was a bird in Mario, but I don't think there is. I can't think if there is. I was basically going through all of the
all
series.
The games.
I go, which ones have birds in? Which is where I got to Banjo-Kazooie as well. There's the owl in Zelda that I can never remember the name of.
Oh,
I've got that up if you want me to try and pronounce it.
Yeah.
Kapora Gabora.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Okay.
That one. Yeah. So you can have that because you said it if you want.
No, I don't want that. How do you pronounce the one in Kirby? I've never known how you pronounce that person's name. King
DDD.
Okay, that is how you pronounce it. It's not King
Day.
Day.
That's how they announced it on Smash Bros. Like King
I can't remember that.
So I'll go with
he's
that.
a bird, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got
what
a
about
beak.
Chocobos? Do Chocobos count?
They definitely count.
They do,
Chocobos, then there you go. Falco from Star Fox.
Falco. See, now you're just rattling them off. You're showing off.
I'm looking at an article on the other screen. Psychro from Earthworm
Someone's actually
Jim.
made an article about best video game birds.
Top 10. Do you want to know the top 10? Should we go through the top 10?
Go on then,
okay, Mega Man series is Beat, number 10. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Number 9 is Kapora Gabora, which is how I do
there we
that.
go. I'm happy
Number
with
8
that,
is an interesting one that I would have eventually liked to think I got to, is the Songbird from Bioshock Infinite. So there you go. Psychro from Earthworm Jim at 7. Squawks is number 6. Falco number 5. Red from Angry Birds, which is...
that's quite good.
There's number 4. King DDD is 3. Chocobos number 2. And Kazooie is number 1. I should shout out that's from blockfort.com because I've just literally read their list off. So I'm not familiar with the site.
Your own personal top 10.
To be fair, it's got Block4 and it says video game top 10 lists. So I went to the right site. So one of them. I don't know.
Okay, so then Infinite Funky Granite, Mick has literally given us our own personal questions. So
sure.
So I'll start off with mine. So he's got 3 questions for me. So he's asking me what I think of the battle system changes in Xenoblade 3, because there's been some new trailers and stuff on Twitter. So when Mick tells me that these things have happened, I go straight to Twitter to see what he's talking about because I often miss them. I'd seen the trailer a week or so ago, but from what I can see on this game so far, this very much feels like it's Xenoblade Chronicles and sort of Tales of Arise sort of merging together a little bit, which I'm absolutely fine with in terms of like the combat. There's like 7 characters when there's normally like 3. So that's the first thing. There's it looks like there's like a merge system. Like you can like merge 2 characters together and be powerful for a stronger bit, which again, until I know how it plays, I think a lot of this is, we had some jokes on the Discord about the UI looking like cluttered as heck, and there's obviously a lot going on. For me, the biggest thing is going to be how this game plays with 7 characters on screen, because at least with Tales of Arise, it was like there's 4 and 2 sort of on the subs bench that you draft in at now and then. But when there's 6 or 7 kicking off all at the same time with all the words and numbers and everything else going on, like, how does that play? So that's the thing I'm waiting for. I don't know. It's hard to see until you have it all explained or you play it rather than just watching the video. But I'm interested because looks like they've got some new ideas. He then says, now that I've played Nobody Saves the World on Switch and other platforms, would you stick with Switch or go back to others? I'd stay with Switch now. Now I've played it on Switch. I said in my review, I think that's the best console that it's for.
Yeah, it's fine on Switch. Why would you not?
Yeah, you can play it on the toilet.
It's free on Game Pass, so...
Yeah. I mean, yes, it is. But yeah, if I had the choice now, I'd play it on the Switch.
Yeah.
If I wanted to go back and play that game, I'd be playing it on the Switch. It runs just as fine on the Switch, so do that. And then his last question is a really interesting one. He said, if I had to pick one, Ghostwire Tokyo or Deathloop, and which would I prefer to get paid DLC for? I was like, bloody hell, all right. I have thought about this rather than thinking about it live. I like both those games for very different reasons. Both got very different styles. I think if I had to pick one over the other, I'd just pick Deathloop. The style of that game, the two lead character interactions and everything, I think edges it. And I think if we got paid DLC, Deathloop's paid DLC would probably play on that zaniness and stuff of what that world is and everything. And I think that would be cool and interesting. Ghostwire Tokyo, I love the setting. I think it looks gorgeous. I like what it does with all the crazy, like the interior stuff when all the stuff moves around. And I think if there was, it's almost like Control-esque in some of what it does when it moves all the stuff around. I think if there was a DLC about that was focused more on that, that would be very cool. But I think just for me, it'd be Deathloop. But I'd take either of them, quite frankly. Adam. Do you think Switch Sports will end up getting paid DLC or just the updates they announced for this year?
I think this year you'll get 2 new sports. Let's say one is golf and one is another. I think they'll both be free. And I think they'll do something like announce a Season 2 next year and bring other sports in that way. And I think they'll be paid. I think it'll be, look, we gave you the first couple for free, but now we're going to ask you to pay for a Season Pass.
I can see them doing like a Smash Brothers Ultimate thing where it's like, here's the next 3
Season
games.
Pass 1, Season Pass 2.
Yeah.
I would expect so. But I don't think you'd have to pay anything this year for it, personally.
No.
We'll see.
Favourite Joy-Con colour?
The blue Zelda ones. I paid money for them. My own money.
Oh, yes. The deep blue with the...
Deep blue, Skyward
Sword.
Ones. Yeah. I adore those. I really like the Splatoon yellow ones, but it really soured me because I believe Nintendo sent them out. I can't remember why. And I might be wrong, but I loved them because I love Splatoon. And they got Joy-Con drift like almost instantly, and it was really upsetting to me because they were my favourite. I don't even know where they are anymore because it upset me so much. I like to put them in a drawer and got rid of them.
Like my one that I've got is the yellow and the blue. You know, the one that they just sell normally.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the same of those two sort of combined.
I like the yellow on them, but no, it's the Zelda Dark Blues for me.
I thought you were going to say the Animal Crossing ones. I know you like them.
I've not got them, so I mean,
okay. Yeah,
I've seen them in pictures.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful, beautiful hue of the blue. It's like a really nice light.
Yeah. Both
the colours are quite light, and that Switch is a thing of beauty. But like the thing is, I'd need an OLED one now. So
yeah.
You can put any Joy-Cons on. So
yeah, true.
Yeah.
Really random question, although they're going to get worse when we get to Lyle. What's your favourite shoe brand, Adam?
You see, this is starting to feel like a dossier's being sort of made on me now.
Yes, it is,
do you know what I mean? Like it's like if I can get enough,
like he's filling out a question.
Gonna get my secret questions, the secret password questions. I like Skechers or Nike, and I liked Skechers more. But the last 2 pairs I've bought, I'm really fucking fussy when it comes to shoes. Like, I'm not that fussed about clothing in general, but when it comes to shoes, I'm really picky. Like, really picky. And it's really weird he asked this question unless he's baiting me out for something I said in Discord the other day, which is very likely knowing him. But I went out...
There's always purpose to what he's asking.
I went shoe shopping, genuinely went shoe shopping this week because, I've got them on or I'd show you, but my Skechers, I have not had them that long, and they are some of the most comfortable shoes I've ever worn, but they fall apart. And it's like, I don't do enough activity in these for, like, what, there must be 70 quid pair of shoes to fall apart. Like, if I pay 70 quid for shoes, you should fucking last. And I'm angry about this. So I needed, it wasn't even a case of wanting to, it's a case of these shoes are falling apart, I need new shoes. So I went in. I won't name the store actually, just because this is public. But I went into a shoe store that its main product is selling shoes, and I saw an expensive
Thanks for just clarifying what a shoe store is.
No, you'll get why that's important.
Yeah.
It's not sole purpose because no one does that anymore. Like they have hats and clothes as well, but it is the name of the shop is about shoes. It's a shoe shop, okay. And I went in there and I said, and I like them. Could you know how you goes and they go and check them for, you tell them what size you want. As I tell them, I'm not going to say what size I am because, that we really are getting into dossier territory. But I wouldn't say that my size for a 6'3" chap, I wouldn't say that my feet are ginormous. They're pretty average. And I went up to no, we don't have them. Okay, how about them? No, I haven't got them in your size. Them? No. He says, to be honest with you, mate. And again, I want you to remember this is a shoe shop. Okay? He said, to be honest with you, You'd be lucky to get anything in over an 8 in here, really.
What? An 8?
Now, this is the first shoe shop we went. I don't
I'm going to
like.
Google this now. While you're talking,
It's not an 8. I'm telling you, it ain't an 8. So my kids are both way bigger than that. They're near enough my size, actually. One of them's half a size smaller. I sort of looked at him and I was like, right, okay, but you're a shoe shop. Yeah. Sorry, we just don't have much. You know, you'd be really lucky to get anything in over an 8 in here.
The average shoe size in the UK is a 9. Average.
Right, but that's still below average.
Yeah.
Right.
You'd be lucky to get anything below average.
No, but the point being is that I would say I think kid sizes stop at around 6.5, 7.
Yeah.
This is a shoe shop.
So they carry one size 8.
So I went in the next shop and I was like, oh, they've got the same brand but different colour. I really like them. No, we ain't got. So anyway, 6 or 7 shops later and an hour further down the road to a different town, I finally found a pair I liked. And one of the blokes goes, I'd be fine if you were in America, mate. And I was, but I'm fucking not, am I? So what purpose?
You don't get shoes. You don't live in America.
I'm sorry, dude. I know you're getting the brunt of this. It's not your fault. You're the 7th shop I've been in. But like, we're not in America, so you're not funny. Just have you got 'em? And he said, no, sorry, mate. And actually, then another shop, I walked up to the counter with the shoe, and before I even said, excuse me, he just went, we've only got them in the 7. Okay, right, okay. So I'm not the first person. And anyway, I did get a pair of shoes. But like, I equate this to like, imagine if you opened a banana shop, right? I know it would be weird. But all you do is you sell fucking bananas, right? Now imagine I walk in your shop and I say, "Good morning, shopkeep. Oh man, what is to cook? We haven't seen you in for your bananas recently. No, I've been on a bit of an apple kick recently, sir. But I'd love can I have 5 or 6 of your finest bananas? Sorry, Mr. Cook, we're completely out. But you're a banana shop, mate. No, I tell you what, sir. Would you like this apple? No, I've got apples. I want a fucking banana, mate. That's why banana. I mean, let's call it Banana Republic. I know that's not what they sell, but let's just call this shop Banana Republic. No, I don't want an apple. I've
already been to the Apple store.
Apple store's next door, mate. You should know this. Why are you competing with them? You're both local businesses. You should know better than this. This is not friendly competition. That's nasty. I want a banana. We're fresh out of bananas. But it's your sole fucking reason for existing. You opened this shop, this banana shop, and you're telling me you got no bananas. And
do you reckon that the average person where you live just has small feet? If they're saying they've only got them in 7s.
The first place I went was Bournemouth, which is 30 minutes away, and then I was so
don't
fucking
reveal that,
annoyed.
Christ.
Well, I mean, that's pinpointing it, isn't it? But then literally I decided, normally I would be like, no, I've had enough. I don't like shopping for clothes at all. Normally I'd be like, nah, I've had enough. But I was like, no fucking way. I want a pair of shoes. So we drove an hour in the direction.
Dragged out the house.
So we went an hour, an hour drive, which would be like, so the half an hour back to our house and 40 minutes further the other way to Southampton. And like, it was the same story. So like I know there's a flipping market when it comes to shoes. Like, people buy the shoes and flip them online. I know that happens a lot. But, like, yeah, it was like, I was proper old man in it on the way home. Like, people fucking go on about how you're driving home. Fucking go on about you should support local fucking businesses. And fucking, if I'd just gone online, fucking would have had these already. If I just bought these, it was like I was proper old man on the way home.
Yeah.
Like, I must have been unbearable. But it was so frustrating.
I have the same shoe size as you. And I'm also not going to go there because in case Mick's starting to doss around me. But I'm a larger gentleman. So not only am I in a situation where I'm like that size, but I'm that size wide.
Well, you'd be all right if you're in America, mate.
Yeah, well, clearly. But like, so like
banana.
It's less of an issue with like, I guess, sketches and trainers and stuff. But if I'm buying like shoes, like for weddings or something.
Yes.
Like, I've got a very limited selection of things.
Yeah, but just to be clear, I have never had this issue when going online to buy a pair of shoes. Never. Yeah, if I go online, you can almost always. And actually, I forgot. Sorry, it's not. I won't prolong this. But one bloke, and bless him, I think he could see that I was like, I'd had enough at this point. This is 3 hours into a thing that should have taken 20 minutes. He literally goes, "I've got 12s if they're any good." I'm like, "Hey, that'd be too big." That'd be too big, mate. Oh, you're a shoe shop, mate. You should know that you don't wear
So
a
you're
size.
not revealing the size, but like.
Oh yeah,
12
fucking
would
hell.
be
Well, there
too
you go.
big.
I'm a size 11. There you go. Send me all your size 11 merch. But no, it was like he goes, "Oh, I've got size 12s if they're any good to you." And I'm like, it was like one of those moments where it's like, "Are you testing me, son?" Because like, I'll bring the fire. I'll bring it. If that's what you want, I'll bring it.
Like,
but...
you should have gone. So a 12's more popular than 11s. Do you
Well,
find?
how's he got 12s? But
I know that's what I'm saying. Like,
I genuinely, the last shop, when I must have looked like a complete sorry state because I genuinely, in the last shop, said, "I'm not being funny, lads, but you're making me feel like I've got freak feet here, and I really feel like I'm not that big." And he just sort of laughed. And I was like, "Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Really funny."
Okay.
So Nike or Skechers?
Nike or Skechers, yeah. Okay.
Good job,
Lyle.
Nick. You did it.
Lyle,
Yeah, he's got all my info.
What's the current game you play to relax? Keep it clean.
God. I mean, I think we had a question about like cozy games before, and I always say that that's not really the sort of game that helps me relax. I just play games I like. Like I think on that episode I said that Spelunky's a game I play to relax, and it genuinely is. I mean, at the moment I play a lot of Midnight Ghost Hunt, and I kind of find it quite like it gets tense, but it's what helps me unwind, I guess. I don't know. I don't play relaxing games really.
Sorry, I'm still thinking about the shoes.
No,
I'm not ignoring. I just
for a little bit because me and Lyle are having a conversation.
But like,
here.
Seriously, like the only thing I can think is.
Oh,
like,
we're going back to it, are we?
Trying to get
my correspondence. We're going
trying
back to
to
it,
get a new pair of shoes is about as easy as baptizing a cat, isn't it? Like, it's. Go on.
Cool. So, Lyle, what would you like to see from Psychonauts 3?
This is like the hardest question anyone could ever.
Oh
my! He's got his shoe out.
That's not the new one, surely.
No, fucking better not be. Sorry, Lyle. Sorry. I said I'd never take my shoes off on this podcast.
The question was what would I like to see in Psychonauts 3?
That's it, yeah.
I don't have a clue. Psychonauts 2 came out last year. I'm not a game developer. Well, I don't have good ideas. I just write about games. I don't know. I'd like it to be good. I'd like it to be better than the last one. Just like the second was better than the
build on its ideas.
Yes.
Hey, he's not wrong.
With some nods to the past, but evolving for the future.
Side note, I hope we do get one, though. I mean...
Oh, yeah. I guess that is the other point, definitely.
Because they could go, they're not a massive studio, are they? They could just go and make like a Broken Age style. What are they doing?
No idea. If I feel like if there's a Psychonauts 3, it could end up being almost as big a weight as there was for 2. Would be my prediction.
Yeah. Mick then asks, did you try the Eurokill demo on the Japan PSN or eShop?
I did not. I'm very excited for Eurokill, though.
I pronounced it correctly then. That's good. I
think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It's a shmup cross courtroom visual novel, which coming from NIS, in a couple of months, I think. It looks really fun. It's like crossing Phoenix Wright with, for some reason, a shmup seems very exciting. So I'm well up for that. But no, not tried the demo. I'll just wait till I get the full game.
Cool. And then finally from Mick for you, Lyle, what's your favourite non-Musu game made by Omega Force?
Oh, this is easy. He probably knows what I'm going to say. I'm going to say that Persona 5 Strikers is the best non-Musu game from Omega Force, because that's not a Musu game. It's a hack and slash with Persona elements and a Muso-inspired combat system.
Lyle,
it's not a Muso game.
You'd have been so proud of me this past week, you know.
I
played a Musu.
What? What did you play?
I genuinely did. I had a very... I was well aware that I was going to have a very long wait at a car park while some hospital-y stuff was done. And I thought, I have to take the Switch because I can't... It's not good for you to just sit on your...
Did you undo the wrapping?
Fire Emblem Warriors has been played.
That's a good one.
It's actually pretty good. Yeah, it's all right. There's a couple of things I definitely change, and I'm hoping that things get changed.
Like the whole Musu element of it, presumably.
It was all right, is all I'll say on that.
Brilliant.
I also think that's... I also think that that's a Musu game that is kind of before they started to add a few more twists that they have been in more recent games. So I kind of hope that the next Fire Emblem Warriors will probably be
Yes,
a step above.
I sort
quite
of want the
significantly.
strategy elements taken out a little bit of them. Like listen, I don't know if I'm ill or what, but one of the only things that really wound me up is that when you would switch in between characters, you would sometimes switch back to a character and they just stood there. And it's like, well, why the hell aren't you near me? Well, I think the idea is that you're to tell them tactically what to do, and I don't really want to do all that. I just want to, if I'm going to play one of these bloody things, I just want to do that. But yeah, do you know what? I quite liked it.
That's what a great gift to end the podcast.
We're not ending. We're not ending.
Oh, that would have been a great
I'm definitely
ending.
not ending there because that
Happy
is
ending.
a sad state. Rather end on the pissing shoes. Right.
Don't.
So I won't bring it up again. Sorry, because House of Hyde rule punks says first and then starts asking a question afterwards after a monologue. Voice acting is an aspect of video games that has become a much stronger focus in recent years. It seems to be an aspect where we see constant growth and improvement. Gone are the days of Resident Evil's laughable dialogue and delivery. Instead, we're treated to expertly crafted communication exchanges. That's not what I'm interested in. What's the worst vocal performances you've experienced in a game? Bonus points for not naming Croc. Lyle.
I mean, it's kind of, I guess it's kind of an obvious one, but the old House of the Dead games have some really good voice acting, don't they? The don't come, the screaming of "don't come" after the zombies chasing her. That's a famous and great delivered line. Yeah, I think House of the Dead. I think arcade games in general have real bottom of the barrel voice acting that I very much appreciate.
I thought you were going to drag up Wand of Gamelon into this, but
that would have been a good one.
I've not played it, but I'm sure I don't know whether it's had this question or I've seen it on a list before, but you might have to confirm this, Lyle, because it's Dynasty Warriors 3 has got a reputation up there with Resident Evil as having dreadful voice acting.
In the sort of PS2 era, pretty much any Warriors game, Dynasty Warriors, I think there was a Samurai Warriors or two on there, had like the real bottom of the barrel voice acting that just made it all the better. Yeah. But yeah, like I think 3 is the one that's sort of most famous for having the like funny bad ones. I didn't play a lot of those games on the PS2 sort of era, but yeah, they're definitely ones that come up for sure.
The only one I always think of is one we talked about last week, where it's like ISX 64, when it's just like, and that's a great throw into Nigeria, and it's like it's so badly.
Pez's voice acting is pretty bad.
It's just.
What about Heavy Rain? I don't agree with that, but the Jason thing.
I mean, the Jason thing is at least amusing. I mean, it's like it never seemed. It was never like it never made the scene feel emotional and rushed. It made it seem kind of stupid. But then I guess you're choosing to press the button over and over again.
That is the thing.
I do think most people did.
I can't really think. I mean, I've played so many games now at this point that I just can't. I mean,
I always think of Resident Evil when I think about it. Yeah. That's the thing. It is that sort of. You just kind of, when you think about bad voice acting, you think of Resident Evil, don't you?
The first game is certainly like, I mean,
the original.
I think that the one line that actually specifically is it always comes to me is Barry trying to give Jill a lockpick.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Here, this is a lockpick. Like it always is. Yeah, Barry. There's some voice acting in there.
It's interesting. Yeah. It's.
You wonder what the director. I would love to have like the fly on the wall director see. No, that's way too good. Can you seriously make it bad?
Is it some? Again, it's not my area of expertise, but I'm sure I remember some of the early like 3D Sonics were pretty crap as well.
I mean,
the animation was where that came from, though, wasn't it?
Yeah,
like they made
sort of like
Sunday morning.
The mouths just sort of go wild as they're talking.
Like Tails is a character from not so much now. I'm guessing I haven't seen the Sonic movies, but Tails back then in the animated cartoons when don't think I'd have been a kid at the time, but when they were made, you'd have, you wouldn't be angry at them. And I'm a massive, Lyle is as well, and I'm sure you are, Chris, but huge animal lover. Like, it's one of the things I can't abide is animal cruelty. I can't.
Swans, obviously.
We talked about swans, and I guess Tails would fall into that as well, because like if someone were to set fire to him, like in that cartoon incarnation of him, I think he'd probably get off lightly. Like his voice was properly like, but that's not really fair because it's not a game; it's a cartoon.
No,
I mean Metal Gear Solid, surely he's getting away lightly here, isn't it?
Yeah, quite possibly.
Yeah, yeah.
It's getting off a bit lightly, isn't it? No.
Yeah, I think that's.
It's every answer.
Bubsy? What about Bubsy?
Croc.
What about Bubsy?
Yeah, Bubsy has a
fucking
fucking.
Go wrong.
Yeah, that was an awful voice. Never something
which
you want to
Bubsy
hear.
was that? Because I think I only ever played the first one. Did the first one have voice? Did it?
Well, it had. I mean, it wasn't like cutscenes, but it had voice.
Like sort of as you're entering a level, like a one-line.
Oh, right. I only remember the platform of Bubsy. I can't actually.
Yeah, no, the SNES one, the one with all the water spouts and stuff. I'm like,
Bubsy 3D, he talks all the time.
Yeah.
I've never played it and never will.
You probably shouldn't.
No, I won't. It's fine. I've got people that can play those for me. Just called Lyle.
Yeah.
Hello.
There you go. There's your ending. That is it, though, isn't it? That's the podcast for this week. Thank you to those people who sent this in the correspondence, and you can do that via our Discord, and there's a link in the description to this video with a link to the general chat on our Discord if you want to join up to our Patreon and get into like the Patreon section and all that stuff and see the code drops. There's an exclusive article gone live today that I wrote about Switch Sports. Chris did one about Thor last week. There will be a new podcast starting that's exclusive to Patreon next month as we record this, so in May. Do I reveal the name for it or not yet?
Nah, keep them guessing.
Okay.
Keep them guessing.
Okay, well, maybe, just in case anything goes wrong between now and then. Until it's actually live, we'll hold off. But that's going to be coming to Patreon next month. Then we'll be starting up some more exclusive video stuff as well. Maybe we could do a video about playing bad games. That could be fun. Well, sorry, fun. You'll have to watch the podcast to get why that
be
was
angry.
said twice. But yeah, go to patreon.com/GodIsAGeek. There's links in the description on this video and should be in the show notes on the audio version as well, wherever you've downloaded it. Do leave your reviews, your thumbs up, your likes, your subscriptions, you hit the bell button, all that sort of stuff, and follow us on the social media, just at GodIsAGeek, and you'll find the rest of the team via that method as well if you want to follow people individually. And that's it for this week. Thank you to Chris and Lyle for being here.
Thank you.
And to everybody else, we'll speak to you next week, or whenever you choose to listen. Bye-bye for now.